What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at AVAIYA is what the world needs.
Hello, AVAIYA family. I'm Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of AVAIYA University. AVAIYA is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you so much for joining us. Our fellow teacher, Cade, is with us today to talk about the one true secret to healing from betrayal. Chris is the founder of Spiritual Growth Events, a certified firewalk instructor, has swum with wild dolphins in the Bahamas, bent spoons with the Monroe Institute, left a six-figure Silicon Valley job to become a conscious entrepreneur, and he is a grateful full-time single father in sunny California. Welcome back to AVAIYA, Chris.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so good to see you again. And I am very excited about our conversation today. And I know that you personally have a history with betrayal in your own life, as do many of us. So could you share a little bit about your own story? What has been your own personal experience of betrayal?
Yes. Well, I'm also going to preface this just briefly, which is the betrayals, with the exception of one, which I am still legally not allowed to speak about, with the exception of one, all of them happened prior to being on a path of self-awareness, personal growth, spiritual transformation. So a lot of what I'll share comes from a place of having been unconscious and having not understood what was going on inside me, and having this perspective of, 10, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road of going, oh, this is who I am now. And I understand and have that clarity. Mm-hmm. And so even though I will speak candidly about my experiences, make no mistake about it, they were very painful. And the lessons I had to learn on both sides of it were brutal. And so, going back to my first girlfriend, this would be when I was about 19, 20 years old, that time frame. And about 6 months into the relationship, I cheated on her. And so that was my first experience of betrayal. It wasn't other people doing it to me. It was actually me being the perpetrator. And that set off, a whole chain of rocky events in the relationship, even to the point where we had met online. And so she actually created a whole fake persona to then try and get me to like the fake persona to see if I would cheat on her with the fake persona, which didn't happen at that point. But then that was a betrayal I later found out about, that I'd been interacting with someone who seemed interesting and engaging, friendly, platonic, and at the same time, just like, whoa. And it was my best friend who told me that these two are one and the same. So that created a big rift. I lost my best friend for a while. So that was betrayal number one, or one and two, really. Mm-hmm. Fast forward then to my next long-term girlfriend. We'd been living together for about 6 months, and I found out she'd been cheating on me regularly. And so that was my first time really feeling the depth of the betrayal. And I mean, I was torn apart. That was my first time I even opened the idea of personal growth. I hadn't heard of it, didn't think of it, but I was reading a book on basically how to affair proof, your relationship. And I was trying to learn what had gone on. And I remember I'd have, days upon nights where I'd just be crying, and she would say, just get over it. I'm over it. You should get over it. It's like, in hindsight, yeah, that's easy to say when you're the one that isn't in the pain and you got the benefits of whatever you're doing, but it was brutal. And I remember in my intuition, I thought, she's going to do it again. And yet my intuition said, stay with her. There's something to learn here. And maybe I was stupid, naive. Maybe I was codependent, which we know nothing about, given the fact that you've done however many summits with that topic. But whatever it was, I stuck around. And we lived together. And about 1.5 years later, she cheated on me again. And I just said, okay, I'm done. I moved out, pulled everything out while she was at work. I mean, literally just gone. Few months, fast forward, some days I'm not taking her calls, not having any conversation whatsoever. Finally, she says, I'll do anything. I said, fine, you're going to therapy. She said, anything but that. I said, see you later. I'm out of here. It was actually kind of empowering to have a hard boundary there, because I had low self-esteem and low confidence at the time, and I didn't know that. And that was, one of the things that was underlying all of these betrayals. And so that was another big one. And then fast forward to, and this is I laugh because it's so uncomfortable. And, even I have some tears in my eyes now, sharing is the shame of a week before my wedding, I cheated on my fiance with a stripper at the bachelor party. So that was, so when I talk about having been on both sides of the betrayal, you would think I would have learned, right? You would think that, after having been cheated on and feeling that immense pain, that I would be, I'm never doing that. I never want to do that to another person. And yet there I was, and I did it. And so, it's not something I've shared a lot publicly. It's been a little bit within, my community. A few people who have, seen some of the videos I've made would know about that. But yeah, that was, definitely the low point. And yet now, even then, I was not into personal growth or spirituality. Like, even then, I wasn't there yet. Fast forward a few months, my wife at the time threatened to divorce me, either get a spiritual path or a divorce lawyer. So I went reluctantly looking into spirituality, personal growth. Actually found I liked what I was discovering. I liked who I was becoming. I liked how I was growing. Started going to retreats, studying more, and finding that place within myself that found understanding of those experiences. Who was I? Why did I do that? Why did I get myself in this situation to be betrayed? So yeah, when you mentioned that you were having this summit on this topic, I was like, this is going to be really uncomfortable. This is going to be really uncomfortable. And I know that I have unique experiences to bring, because it's not just this, guru expert, here's, et cetera, et cetera. It's, it's real and it's rich, and it lives in me in a way that I can say now I know who I am and would never want to do that to anybody. And I've been in, 2 relationships since then. No betrayal in either one, which is great. The first one was comfortable, good, just sweet and simple. Not a lot of fire and passion, but certainly no trauma, good communication. She was a therapist and a counselor. So everything, if one of us was triggered, we worked on it together. It wasn't a blow up or anything. And then now, in the current relationship I've been in for 2 years now has been just amazing, with positive communication, delight, joy, integrating all the lessons that I've learned from these betrayals, not just to make sure the betrayal doesn't happen, but to also have great relationships, not just good ones, not just comfortable like I had, but to really have amazing relationships. And it's been a real blessing to have that. So that's the journey of betrayal, and sort of kind of beginning to end, also the spiritual path. So I will pass it to you to see where the moment leads, because I'm curious where our conversation will go.
Yeah. Thank you so much for, first of all, having the courage to share all that, because I know that, who wants to openly share about things that we've done that we're not proud of? Obviously, that's always challenging to do. So I commend you for doing that. And I think it opens all the viewers up to times when they have betrayed someone, whether it was infidelity or something like that, or we're talking about other kinds of betrayals. We've all done something like some kind of betrayal in our life. It just depends on, what degree and what it was. And just sharing your experience of having had both experiences. And one of the things that you said in there was, you mentioned self-esteem. And I'm curious, do you think that, as a whole, someone who betrays as well as someone who is betrayed perhaps has low self-esteem as kind of like a commonality, no matter which way you're going with it?
That was my experience. And when I started observing what happened in others, that was similar. Like when I mentioned the woman I lived with who cheated on me, when I said, you're getting therapy, and she didn't want to. And then finally I was like, then we're done. She finally said, okay. She got therapy. She started reading the book I had been reading. It was called His Needs, Her Needs. And it was all about, avoiding betrayal in your relationships. And what she learned was that, the person that she'd been cheating on me with was a musician, and she felt important when she was with him. She felt like, her self-esteem was elevated when she was with him. And so that was what she discovered was, that she was doing it because she didn't feel good about herself and she wanted to have that. And so there is that. For me, I had low self-esteem. I was codependent. It seemed like I could succeed in anything in life except with women. That was my challenge. And that extended through, even high school and younger. So it wasn't like this was a mystery that I wasn't good with women or had low confidence in that area. But there's a difference between not having confidence and actually having low self-esteem and low self-worth and codependency challenges. And that was, when I look at the thread on every single one, the first time I cheated, it was, again, low self-esteem. There was another woman with me, and she had been a platonic friend who I had actually previously been intimate with, prior. And I realized that it was just this desire to be accepted for me, and then when it came to, cheating on my fiance with the stripper, again, it was like, oh, there's this attractive woman here and she's totally into me. And I know logically that's completely false. There's dollar bills and that's what she was after and interested in. But they're so good when they want to be about that illusion of attraction, about that illusion of desire. And so having that around me just was, it was intoxicating to someone that has low self-esteem. And it's not that my fiance at the time was unattractive. She was an attractive woman, but it doesn't matter how attractive someone is when you have low self-esteem. There's no number of attractive people that will fill that hole of self-worth. And so it wasn't until I started that path of spiritual growth, of self-awareness, of finding out who I truly was, to work through those things and realize I don't have to be that person anymore. I can learn to love myself. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's so much easier said than done. It's like, oh, just love yourself, like fluffy, easy. No, it's not. It's grueling. It's rough. And anybody who's watching this summit right now in this interview knows that it is far easier said than done to focus on loving yourself, to focus on self-care, to do the things that build self-esteem from the inside out. But there's also the trick of these self-esteem issues weren't done in isolation. They are a social situation. It doesn't happen alone. And so my experience of finding wholeness was a combination of self-care, self-awareness, learning who I was, and then testing that in the world. Is who I am becoming bringing into my life higher quality people? And if they're not higher quality, then I get to find out, am I willing to date this person or not? For me, it was very much, like I said, about women and dating is where my betrayals were. It wasn't business betrayals, getting embezzled by a backstabbing business partner, things like that, which are also very real and happen. And I'm grateful that I haven't had those as well. But when it comes to relationships, my betrayals happened in relation to someone else. And so I found out that as I started growing, I had to test things out and try it. And that's ultimately what happened. Then, as I mentioned, I got into that comfortable relationship. Great place to try out not being betrayed, to have a real experience of almost a year dating where it was just good, comfortable, and safe, right? Safe is the key thing there. And so that was powerful for me. And then again, moving into the relationship I'm in now for 2 years, again, living it and practicing it.